Today makes it the 12th day that I returned from my West African tour. Should have been 8 days though, but I had some issues getting into the last country. Shit happens, but I'm back in Nigeria now, and this video is about why I was not allowed entry into the Gambia. After my voyage through Senegal, by the way, if you have not seen my video of Senegal, you can check the description below to see the bits of my tour through the city of Dakar. It's a nice one, and I think you will like it, so yeah, check it out after this video. So from Dakar, I got a bus at this park. I can't remember the name of the park, but it's the only park where you get buses going to the border of the Gambia. I was in this bus for a bit. It took a while for the bus to get full. It was an 18-seater bus, and after it got full, we just proceeded with the journey. I think the pricing was about 4,500 sefa. Yeah, that was what it was. But if you have like extra loads they have to put at the top of the bus, they will probably charge you an additional 500 sefa. But I didn't pay for that because my bag could sit on my lap. So we continued with this trip, and it was just from the beginning that everything began to go south on this trip. First, we were 2 hours into the trip when the driver who carries passengers on this same trip every single day realized that he was on the wrong route. We had gone 2 hours deep into this journey and we had to turn back at this point. I'm not very familiar with the terrain, so I don't know if we took an alternative route or if we went back to Dakar and then started the journey all over again. I'm not very sure how the whole journey went, but that was the first misstep we had on this journey. And then we continued. And after about 4 or 5 hours, we got to a place. It was very dark already because I left Dakar like late in the afternoon. So had about 6 hours to that time. It was already quite late into the night but then again, the car wasn't also very fast. So this was about 10 p.m. We got to the station and this driver suddenly comes down. A lot of the passengers were dropping along the way. So it remained about 4 of us in the bus. This driver looked back at some point and just decided that, oh, it's just 4 passengers. He wasn't going to the Gambia anymore. He got to a park and dropped us and handed us over to another driver to join another bus that was going to the Gambia. Like, we were so mad. Like, why would you do that? You know, you're going to you'd already wasted our time, and now you're going to, hand us over to another driver. We were the first passengers in this bus. We were 4 of us. And this was a 25-seater bus or something. And there was nobody inside for the first 10 minutes, 30 minutes, so we were so mad. We were, one of us was going to, shout at the driver. But at this point, I realized nothing was going to move this guy, and so I just kept quiet. And so when we were just waiting for the passengers to come, fill up the bus, and then we were going to move to the Gambia from there. I think we moved at about 2 a.m. or thereabout. Or maybe 1. I think it was about 1 a.m. Yes, we moved about 1 a.m. We got to the border, I think around 3:30 a.m. And then I went through the customs in Senegal first. I succeeded from there. They wanted to collect a lot of money from me, but eventually I had to part with them. I think 500 sefa or something like that for them to stamp my passport. They did that, I left, and then to proceed into the Gambian customs office. And then it was when I got there that I began to hear the weirdest questions of my life. The first thing the guy was going to ask me was where I was going to. Okay, that's normal. I was going to Banjul. I'd already ordered an Airbnb. So it was like, where was I going to? Was it an hotel or I was going to be staying with someone? I told him it was Airbnb, so technically I was going to be staying with someone. And he was like, okay, why didn't I call the person? I'm like, I already spoke to the person and they're already expecting me. It was like, oh no, the policy is that I should have called the person would have come to pick me at the border. Like, how is that possible? And here's the story. The person who actually has my Airbnb was not in Banjul. I think he said he was in Sweden, so he handed over the property to a caretaker. I hadn't even spoken to the caretaker at this point, so I was just speaking to this guy. So if there was that condition, I'm sure he would have told me. But there was nothing like that, and I just thought this man was just trying to, pull my legs. And this conversation just began to get more serious with time. And it was like the person was supposed to have come to pick me at the border. I'm like, that's not possible because from the border, I was supposed to get a taxi to, I'm missing the names of these places now. But I'm supposed to get a taxi to somewhere, and then from there I'm supposed to take a ferry to Banjul. And for someone to have gone through the ferry to come and pick me up, I'm like, this is not my brother or family or something. This is just someone I paid to stay in their house. He told me to call the person to send their details, maybe their passport, some official document. I said, okay, that won't be a problem. I can contact the guy and tell him to send those to me and I will show them to him on the phone. But the guy was like, no, not on the phone. I have to go and print them out and submit to him at the customs office. This was 2:30 or 3 a.m. Like, how am I supposed to do that at this time? There was no shop opened. Or do you have a photocopy machine or a printer here? And it's like, no, I have to wait till the morning. And the ferry leaves at 6 a.m. And I'm like, I want to meet the taxi, the ferry at 6 a.m. Now, if you tell me to wait, the shops are not going to be open until about 9 a.m. in the morning. So you're just going to be delaying me for nothing. And so we're like, there's nothing I can do about that. I just have to make those copies and print them. And I was just trying to reason with this guy as much as possible, but he wouldn't just budge. And so after pulling whatever strings I could pull left and right, nothing still worked. I had to stay till the morning. Morning came, it was about 8 a.m. I went to their office and realized that they were running a shift thing. And so the people I met at 3 a.m. were not there anymore. So it was a fresh set of people. So it meant that I had to start this whole process from the beginning again. No problem. I went to give them my stuff, and they started asking me the very same set of questions that this other guy asked me all over again. I was in this office they called their investigation room or something like that. And so this guy was asking me all the questions and I was answering him, asked me what I did, I was showing him samples of my work, so many things. And after I was satisfied, he marked me up and told me the next office to go to get my stamp, my passport stamped. He actually took me there by himself. I got to this office in the front of this particular guy, and the first thing he tells me, he looks at my passport and he's like, 5,000 sefa. I'm like, okay, I don't have 5,000 sefa. Is there like a lower fee I could pay? I don't have much money on me until I get into the country. I can use the ATM, but at this point, I only had 1,000 sefa on me, and I didn't know what to do. And the guy was like, 5,000 sefa or no conversation. And so there was another woman who was sitting beside him, and I was trying to plead with the woman to help me speak with this guy. I went to the woman, and the woman, requested for my passport. I gave her my passport, and she started the same set of questioning all over again that I had gone through in the investigation room or something. And she started, where are you going to? Where are you going to be staying? For how long are you staying for? I answered all those questions properly. And the last question she was going to ask was, where is your pocket money? That was weird. Pocket money. Okay, I have some money on me, but it's not much. But then I also have money on my card. And when I get to the country, I can use the ATM and withdraw. And she was like, no, the ATM does not count. I said, okay, no problem. I can show you the balance on my traveling account. And she was like, no, that doesn't count. I need to have $100 in cash. I'm like, what? $100 in cash? How's that possible? Like, where am I supposed to get that from? I deliberately opened this travel account so that I didn't have to carry a lot of cash around, for security reasons. And this woman is like, no, if I don't have $100 in cash, then she won't allow me into their country. I opened my travel account. I have the money in my account, but I don't have it in cash. Said I have to go get it in cash. This was at the border. There are no ATMs in sight. The closest ATM, I had to return back to the park I had come from, and that would take me, I think, about 2 or 3 hours. Now I'm beginning to wonder, like, oh, maybe I should have just given this guy 5,000 sefa and, this would have cleared. But they're in the same office, and now it's a problem because if I go back to meet this guy now, this is his boss, and he's like, oh, my boss has increased, the fees, and there's nothing I can do about that. And so for over 2 hours, I was in front of these guys, just trying to plead my case. I showed them my work. So I was like, what's the issue? Is it like they were not sure if I could fend for myself in the country, or they were not sure if I was just going to run away or something? It was just all confusing to me, and I was just trying to ask questions on and on so that I could clarify whatever the issues they had with me were. But they wouldn't just listen, man. It just took hours and hours. I was there for over 5 hours, and there was literally nothing I was saying that was just going through their ears. Now here is where I observed that there might be something particularly wrong. I am not accusing them now of prejudice in some way, but here's the pattern I noticed. I noticed that at a point when I went back to this other guy, I looked at his table. the corner of his table, I saw about 7 to 8 Nigerian passports there. So I asked him, like, oh, are those Nigerian passports? He's like, yes, your brothers, they're outside there, they can't come into and all of that, so you better do what you have to do now, or else we're going to send you back. I'm like, what's the offense? Like, what have I done? What do I need to satisfy? It's like, you've listened to my boss, you need to be able to do this. But I'm like, I can't get $100 now. Dollars is even difficult to get. Like, even if I go to the ATM, I'm either going to get Sefa or the currency of the Gambia, which is the Lassie. But then I was like, okay, what if I get the equivalent of that in their currency? And it's like, I don't know, just go get whatever you need to get, blah, blah, blah. But there was just no way I was going to do that because there was no ATM in sight. And I noticed they called a lady in. She's Nigerian. And then I think she was there with her brothers or something. They had 7 to 8 passports. And they just gave it to some other guy. They were signing some book. And then they told this guy to take all the passports with these people and go back to the Senegal border. Apparently, they were sending them back into Senegal. So it's like, oh, is this going to be my fate too? What's the issue? And I just intensified my plea, but it just wouldn't go through. This woman was just right there blocking my entry into the country. But then she went to meet one other boss in another office. They spoke for over 20 minutes. Then she comes back, collects the passport from me, gives it to the same guy, enters my name into the same register. Apparently, this register is it's a rejection register. So they just write it on their register. They put your passport number and all of that. They just write it there, and then they take your passport back to the Senegalese border. And so that was what they did to me too. Took me to the Senegalese border, and I was stamped out of Senegal before, and when I got back into the Senegal border, they stamped me in again, which means welcome to Senegal. And so that's where I lost all the hope. And I felt really bad because I had spent a lot of money to come here. And also, while I was going through the border on and off, I had to go do some photocopy at some point also. I went to the photocopy of my passport page. They requested that at some point, I remember. And while I was doing that, and also trying to change money from the Sefa to the Lassie, I lost some money also along the way. And so I lost money, I spent money to come here. I'd lost close to 12 hours of my time, and I was just overwhelmed at the spirit. I was really tired and disgusted. But I just had to count my blessings in some way, because it just felt like there were a number of signs, like the driver missing his route, dropping us at another place where it was not supposed to drop us, moving in the dead of the night to the border. Everything, there were just a lot of red flags through this journey. And so when I was going back, I just had to, rev up some hope within myself. And I just thought, maybe this is just my church mind talking, but maybe God was just trying to save me from some evil that was going to happen to me in the country, maybe a stray bullet or some shit, but I don't know. But that was the way I could get away out of the feeling. And so I just had to count it like, well, I'm just being delivered from something I didn't know about. I went back to the park. The driver dropped us the day before, or the midnight before, and I asked around if I could get a bus that was going directly to Bamako. So someone took me to a park where there was this transport company that goes from that park to Bamako directly. So within 2 hours, the bus came, and then I was on my way to Bamako, where I spent, I think, 2 or 3 more days before I went to Ivory Coast, spent a night, and then to Accra, where I spent, I think, 4 days before I took another bus to Nigeria. So that was basically the whole story about my rejection at the Gambian border. In my next video, I am going to be talking about my entire trip. I will also be sharing tips on how in case you want to go on a journey like this, or to any of these West African countries I visited, what you should be looking out for, what you should be prepared for, and even in terms of cost and resources you're supposed to have. I will be sharing those in my next video. So make sure to subscribe, but then also like this video, comment in the description if you have any other questions, and follow me on my social media handles. They'll be running around the screen somewhere here. But until next one, have a great time.